So you're thinking about buying a home in Texas, but you are totally confused on how these property taxes work down here. Well, this is the perfect video for you because we are going to be walking through how these property taxes are calculated and a couple exemptions that you should know about so you can potentially lower your property taxes. So without further ado, let's get on into it. So as you may be able to assume, I work with a lot of people who relocate to the DFW area through my YouTube channel. So that is why I make all of these YouTube videos showing you around the DFW suburbs. But one of the things that all my relocation clients have in common is they always ask me about the property tax. But I will say, property taxes are a little bit higher here, but we don't have a state income tax, so they gotta get their money somewhere. I think the easiest way for me to show you how the property taxes work here is to show you an example. This property closed a couple weeks ago. It closed at $475 in West Plano. Now, West Plano is a really popular Dallas suburb, so that's why I wanted to pull this property specifically in this location, because a lot of you reach out asking about West Plano. And then $475 is a pretty good price point for a lot of my first-time home buyers in this area. So I think this will be a really great and helpful example for you. So if you look at the previous year, so 2021 through 2023, these at the top here are the assessed values. Now, this is what the county is going to use to base your property taxes off of. Now, the assessed value is very different from the market value. Typically, you want your assessed value to be lower than your market value. This way, you are paying lower taxes on that lower assessed amount. Assessed value is the amount your county thinks your home is worth. It's what is used to determine your property taxes. Now, on the other hand, market value, this is the price a buyer and seller would agree upon in an open and competitive real estate market. So ultimately, market value is what a buyer thinks your home is worth in the real estate market. So in this example, your assessed value is $386 for the year of 2023. And your market value for 2023 is $475. So again, your assessed value is lower than your market value. Now, let's pull taxes based on these two amounts, just to kind of show you the difference that these two numbers make. So $475 is the market value multiplied by the county tax rate of 1.911. That's gonna put you at $9,000 for your property taxes, give or take. Now, $386 is your assessed value. Multiply that number by the county tax rate, 1.911, a little over $7,300 in property tax. Property tax rates can vary, but they don't vary very often, right? Your assessed value is what's gonna change year over year, and that county tax rate has to be voted to change, so you're really not gonna see it change too much, because it does vary by the city and county, so just something to note. So every year, the county will reassess your value based on surrounding home values in your neighborhood. And the timeline kind of works like this. So March and April is when the property taxes estimates come out. And then October is when the final bills come out. When the estimates come out in the spring, this is when you hear a lot of people talk about protesting their property taxes. Essentially, a homeowner will make a case as to why they think their assessed value should be lower. Homeowners will appear in court in front of a panel. They'll bring market comps or a list of needed repairs like a new roof or new windows to show that their home should be valued for lower due to it not being in the best condition. Ultimately, the county will decide whether they lower your assessed value or keep it the same. I've also seen some people bring their bill of sales to the panels to show, hey, I actually paid this much for my house, so there's no way I need to pay property taxes on a higher amount. So we talked about all the numbers and how your property taxes are calculated, but let's talk about the biggest question. How can you lower these property taxes? And the short answer is exemptions. So the state of Texas offers a multitude of different exemptions, and they essentially do two things. They help lower your property tax burden by removing part of your home's value from taxation. And two, they help to slow down the rate at which the county can increase your taxes year over year. Now, one of the most common exemptions is the homestead exemption. This exemption is for anyone who owns a primary residence in Texas, so this does not apply to an investment property or a second home. The home must be your only home in Texas and should be your primary residence here in Texas, meaning this is where you live day to day. The homestead exemption has been a hot topic this year as Texas lawmakers are trying to pass an $18.6 billion tax deal that would help lower property taxes across Texas. And I'll give you some more details about this down below. It's definitely an interesting read. This could pass as early as November. It still needs to be voted through. and they could apply to property tax bills starting in 2024. Texas seems to acknowledge the growing problem of the fast-growing property taxes and home values here, and this is maybe the first step in the right direction to do something about it. Another popular exemption here is the over 65 exemption. Now, this helps limit the amount the county appraisal district can increase your value, and it also removes a chunk of the school taxes. I mean, considering most of these folks don't have kiddos in preschool, I think that's pretty fair. One of the other ones that I hear about most often here, especially in Texas, is the agricultural exemption. So if you got a lot of land, that may be something you want to look into. Buyer beware. Now, this is a term you guys have all heard before, most likely, but I really want to drive this point home because this is so important and I do not want you to make this mistake. Now, some buyers, whenever they're buying their first home here in Texas, they look at the assessed value from, let's say, last year, so 2022, and they look at those estimated property taxes and they're like, cool, got it, I can pay these property taxes, no problem. Problem is that amount may have multiple exemptions on it, which is lowering that value. And so when you purchase that house, the county is gonna reset that assessed value amount, and it's gonna remove all the exemptions that were previously on it. So it could be drastically different if you're looking at a number that has maybe multiple exemptions on it. This is kind of my rule of thumb. You should base your property taxes on what you purchased the home for. So like in this case scenario, I would not base your property taxes on that assessed value for 2023 at 386 because God only knows how many exemptions are on that, okay? But I would base my property taxes in my head off of that 475 amount. That way I am not surprised by the number I get back, because the highest it's going to be is property taxes based on 475. Most likely your assessed value is going to be a little bit lower than your market value, but still, at least you know the max amount that you're going to pay and you're prepared to pay that amount in worst case scenario. And if you're working with the lender can really help you when it comes to this, and they can bake out how much you're going to be paying on a monthly basis to cover those property taxes. Since we're on the topic, let's talk about the monthly bills versus the annual bill. If you put less than 20% down, your lender is going to require you to pay PMI, which is premium mortgage insurance, but they're also going to require that you escrow your property taxes, meaning there's a separate escrow account and you're going to be paying into it on a monthly basis that's going to cover your annual property taxes. Now, this is really nice for first-time home buyers because you really don't have to think about and worry about those annual property taxes too much. They're going straight into an escrow account. You're paying it monthly. You really don't have to think about it too much, which is really, really nice. And your lender is going to go into that escrow account at the end of the year and use that money there to pay your property taxes. On the flip side, if you put more than 20% down, you do not necessarily have that luxury per se. You will be responsible for paying your property taxes via, one lump sum at the end of the year, or, just dedicating monthly installments aside for them paying your property taxes at the end of the year. Well, that's a wrap on this video. I hope this was helpful. I know we covered a lot of ground here in this video, so if you have a question on something I covered, or maybe you have a question on something I didn't cover, please feel free to reach out to me. Send me an email and we can talk about this in depth together. I know it's confusing. I know it's important to be prepared in how much you're expecting to pay for property taxes. So thanks so much for watching these videos. Thank you so much for all your support. I love dropping all of this great value on you guys to help your move become so much smoother to the Lone Star State. So thanks so much for watching. I will see you guys on the next video.